Welcome to the party, pal. You're from the neighborhood Master Chaos, back with you once again for another installment in my ongoing series, Movie Six Pack, where I bring you 6 Blu-ray, mostly Blu-ray releases from one label in particular. I'm going to give you just a big info dump of reviews featuring 6 titles from said label. Today we're focusing on Arrow Video. The Big Camp Arrow Video Sale Part 2 is ongoing 2021 July, depending on when you're watching this. And I thought I'd throw out some recommendations. Now, some of these are not going to be available on Diabolic if you're in the US. Diabolic DVD is hosting that sale, so a lot of these titles are not on there. Some of them are, but most of them are going to be available on the Arrow UK website. So these, and I'll shout them out when they show up, are going to be Region B only. Keep that in mind. If you have no problem playing any region, then grab these or don't grab these, as the case may be when we get to the titles. Let's start off with one you can get right now. I don't know if the slip is available, but you can pick this up, US and UK. The Last Starfighter. Oh man, what a blast from the past this movie was. I love this movie very much. I'm not going to get into the details. You probably know what this movie's about anyway. Kid wins a video game. Turns out it was actually a flight simulator for a very real space combat situation. He gets drafted by aliens to save the universe and battle the Kodan Armada. Really fun movie. Lance Guest is a really likable lead. You got Catherine Mary Stewart in here, who's just a gorgeous looking girl. Really fun film. I think it aged well, except for the special effects. The special effects look really rough. Really rough. Like video game, like computer game at the time, rough. So those don't look great, but the movie is so much fun that it doesn't really matter. You kind of look past it. This version, now I don't know if you can still get it with the book or not. I don't know what is available. But this version comes with a poster, which is really neat, and a little booklet, which, you know, your typical booklet speaking about the films from different pundits sharing their point of view. So I like that. I actually didn't realize that there was a poster in here. That's a surprise to me. This is a really fun film, really great 80s classic. If you've never seen it and you love that era, and for some reason you just skipped it, or when you were young you just didn't catch it now. It's a worthy watch. You're gonna have a good time. It's kind of a mixture of Star Wars, Goonies, that kind of feel. Really good stuff. The Last Starfighter gets my highest recommendation, 5 stars. Next, here's a weird one. This, I believe you can get a US release, but I'm not 100% sure. This is a UK version. This is a Region B. This is Satan's Blade. Wow. Satan's Blade. This is I'll be honest, a rough-looking movie. I don't know if it says it here, but I believe it's 16mm or something, because it doesn't really say. Because it has that 16mm 70s kind of look, so it doesn't necessarily look cleaned up and pristine, but that's okay. This is the kind of movie where you're kind of okay with it. You're kind of fine if it doesn't look pretty, because it adds to it. You know, it's like, you know, some of these movies, you kind of need that grit and that grime, and you kind of want them to look a little different. You don't want them all in 4K. It just doesn't feel right. Like they're putting out Toolbox Murders in 4K.
You must be kidding, aren't you?
No thanks. That doesn't really need 4K, in my opinion. Satan's Blade takes place in Big Bear Lake, California, a place I'm familiar with, a place I've gone to on some of my travel vlogs here. This is a really unique little supernatural slasher movie, and I say supernatural because you sort of need to know what you're getting yourself into. Basically, a bunch of people go to a cabin in the woods, Big Bear Lake, and they get hunted by some crazy maniac. This is a cover you probably are more familiar with. I like the cabin one because it reminds me of Big Bear, and I like Big Bear. A bunch of people getting killed in the woods. That's essentially what it is. I'm going to be reductive with these reviews because I don't want to waste your time. But that's essentially what it is. Gory kills. Some nice nudity. The first 10 minutes is almost like from a completely different movie. It starts off like a lesbian bank robbery movie, and then all of a sudden it's a slasher movie with new characters. It's very interesting, very weird. It doesn't necessarily not make sense, but just be prepared for a lot of left turns in this one. This one's going to go well, I guess a lot of turns in general. Because if you do left turns, you're just gonna be in a circle, right? A lot of turns. This is a very unpredictable movie, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really, really good. The middle's a little soggy, but that happens sometimes when you're trying to establish characters. When will they learn? We don't care about characters necessarily. We just want to get to the good stuff. And the movie delivers. It's pretty bloody. And there's a lot. There's some fun nudity in this as well. So I do recommend Satan's Blade if you don't have it. It's a goodie. It is a goodie. If you're a slasher fan, I mean, you gotta grab it. Something I highly recommend. Here's another one that you must own. Remo Williams' The Adventure begins and ends because they never made a sequel. This is such a fun movie. Something very outside the box when it comes to the heroes of the 80s. And for some reason, it's not available in the US. This is from Arrow UK. It is Region B. But it is worth it. If you can play Region B disc, grab Remo Williams. It's very good. I will warn you, the movie is long. It's about 2 hours. The first hour is all training, which can drag. And you kind of wonder, when are we going to get to the action? When are we going to get to the action? But Joel Grey as Chun, who, might have, some people might be turned off by the fact that there's I believe he's Jewish. Some Jewish guy is playing a Korean guy. Some people might be turned off by that. I know this movie apparently gets a lot of hate because of that. But I think he's actually really good in the part. Fred Ward kills it as Remo. And their chemistry is so great that first hour of, developing plot and setting up the bad guys and our heroine and all that stuff is okay. That there's not big action sequences there, because the big action sequences come in the second half. And boy, there's some pretty epic sequences in this. There's Doberman Pinschers that must have trained with Jackie Chan. There's this great sequence towards the end in this logging area with these big redwood trees and these explosions. And then there's, of course, the showstopper sequence, the big first action sequence in the film when Remo's getting chased by goons on the Statue of Liberty. That is a great sequence. Really scary stuff. And there are some shots where you can see that it's actually Fred Ward doing all that shit. That's impressive, man. That is really impressive. I mean, it's pretty much a parkour movie before parkour was a thing. But the idea is there's a cop who gets killed in the line of duty, but he doesn't really die. And what it turns out to be is that they're going to bring him. They drafted him into the secret organization to fight evil. And so now he's a super secret government secret super spy who's training with this Korean martial artist, and he's learning all these secret tricks like walking on water and all that stuff. Really fun stuff. I don't want to oversell it, but I don't want to waste your time either. Here, all I'll say is Remo Williams, get it. Really, really good movie. Tons of special features. There's an hour documentary on here, all about 80s action heroes. This is the slip you'll see on Arrow on the site. This is what it looks like. But I flipped it to the original poster. our documentary on 80s action heroes on this. And it mentions Remo, but only briefly. It's mostly about Arnold Schwarzenegger and Stallone and those guys. But Remo Williams, a blast from the past, just like Last Starfighter for me. I'm so glad I own this again. I love this movie very much. But keep in mind, you have to kind of hang in there because the action does drag a little bit. Next, a couple of Dario Argento titles to discuss with you. These are all Region B. I don't think they've gotten a US release. I may be mistaken. At least on Blu-ray. There might be a 4K down the road. I think that's sort of the hope a lot of people are expecting, but that has not been announced yet. Dario Argento's Phenomena here on Blu-ray, starring the beautiful Jennifer Connelly. I think she was like 16 at the time, maybe 18. No, I think she's a little younger than 16. Anyway, Jennifer Connelly really holds this movie together, as well as Donald Pleasance. I, for the longest time, thought this was my favorite Dario Argento movie. I really enjoyed this movie when I watched it back in the day. I think Anchor Bay put it out on VHS. And I really, really loved it. Rewatching it now, it's not my favorite. It's good, but really only because the third act kicks the fucking movie in the balls. If it wasn't for that strong, crazy third act, this would be nothing to write home about. I think the main problem is the film is presented here in its longest form ever. It is an hour and 56 minutes, so nearly 2 hours of Dario Argento madness. Now you would think, well, that's a good thing because he can add more kills and blah, 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 blah. But no. While this is essentially a giallo, there's not that many kills. There's 3 kills in the movie. One at the beginning, which is a great sequence. Then one about 30 minutes in, and then one an hour into the movie. So it's not really kill heavy. The story revolves around Jennifer Connelly playing the character of Jennifer, so it was, easy for her to get into the part. She's the daughter of a famous actor. She's been put in this boarding school, so you get Suspiria vibes in this one, like really heavy Suspiria vibes. She's got a secret gift. She's like a superhero, and her power is she can communicate with insects. They love her. Bees won't sting her. She's not scared of any insects. She loves them all, kind of a thing. So that's her power. She can not control bugs, but communicate with bugs. So that we get more of a Suspiria feel, because it's very much a supernatural menace type of movie with a giallo undertone. Bodies start appearing. One of her best friends goes missing. She's pretty sure she's dead. She has like these weird sleepwalking dreams. And she makes friends with Donald Pleasance, who just happens to be an entomologist who loves insects as well. He's got a little chimpanzee friend that's sort of his assistant because he's in a wheelchair. And he's like, well, maybe we can use your powers to find the killer. And that's essentially the movie. I'm not going to give too much away. There's 2 bad things about this movie, though. Number 1, the pacing is off. The fact that this is the longest version of the movie, I think, works against it. The version I watched that I fell in love with was not this long, and I felt it worked for the picture. I think the longer extended version is to the detriment of the film. The pacing is all off. It's just so bloated that we lose the thread of the story. And they introduce this stuff with like the kids in the school, and like they're making fun of Jennifer because she sleepwalks, and it's so lame. It just comes off really lame and unnecessary. So the biggest issue I have with the movie is that in this version it's just way too long, and it's no longer interesting or thrilling or exciting because there's just so much dead air in the movie that it hurts it. It really hurts it. Number 2, I mentioned the chimpanzee. You get to see a lot of chimpanzee asshole in this.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No! No!
I don't know about you, but I'm not necessarily in the market for that. So the monkey is in the movie quite a bit, and you see it walking around, and as soon as it turns its back to the camera, it's got this big puffy brown ass, and you see it all, and gosh, now I know why in American movies they always put like diapers on the monkeys. That's gross. That's some gross ass shit. So just be prepared. You're gonna look at some monkey asshole quite a bit in this movie. I mean, it's not close up, but you see it. Even when you try to not see it, you see it. You know what I mean? It's disgusting. Phenomena here. I'm not gonna say it's a bad film. It's not. It's not a bad film. It's a good movie, but not a great movie, which is unfortunate. That's the little reversible slip there. I like the original artwork, poster design that I'm familiar with anyway. It's a good movie, not a great movie. The pacing is off, but if it wasn't for Jennifer Connelly and Donald Pleasance and that third act, this would be nothing. This would just be kind of an uninteresting movie. That's my thoughts on Phenomenon. I'm going to give it a passive recommendation. I'm going to say 3 stars on that one. But one Dario that gets 5 stars, motherfucking Tenebrae. Holy shit. This is a return to form type of movie for Dario. I think I was watching one of the special features and it says, oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, on Phenomena, there is a 2-hour making of documentary involving interviews with everybody. 2-hour making of documentary. That is extensive. It's longer than the movie. So if you want to know more about Phenomena, there you go, 2 hours. Tenebrae has a ton of special features as well. But this is a very interesting film. It's a return to form after he made Suspiria and Inferno. He wanted to go back to his roots and make another, nice bloody movie. Tenebrae is as bloody as it gets, and very opposite to Phenomena because it is almost kill after kill, and the giallo aspect is so in the forefront that it almost feels like an American movie. It almost feels like an American movie. It doesn't have a lot of these European touches where the plot kind of veers off and you're like, wait, why are we doing this now? The movie's about this. It has that kind of tight American noir slasher structure. It's about a novelist, Peter Neal, played by Tony Franciosa, right? I want to get that right. I'm gonna get mistaken here. Yeah, Anthony Franciosa, Tony Franciosa to his friends. Peter Neal is a novelist. He's just written a bestseller, a crime thriller. He's coming to Italy to, press the flesh and do all the press tour kind of thing. And a killer has started to kill in his name. And everybody he kills, the women he kills, he stuffs pages of Peter's book in the woman's mouth. What's going on? Who is the killer? That is the question. And the movie goes about laying out red herrings, laying out clues and things like that, until we get to a really shocking conclusion. I'm not going to give it away, don't worry. But the third act is super shocking to the point that I'm like, this can't be real. No, this has to be a fake out. And it wasn't. And I'm still, and I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense. And the more I thought about it, I looked back at little pieces in the movie, and I'm like, holy shit. My God. Dario Argento just crafted his best slasher movie. Tenebrae is it's subjective, but I think compared to all the other ones that go off in different tangents and there's different backstories and things like that, I'm thinking about Deep Red, which goes off on so many little side streets. Tenebrae is a lean and mean slasher giallo that if you have not seen, you owe it yourself to watch, because I honestly consider this his best fucking movie when it comes to the slasher stuff. Tenebrae is one that doesn't really get talked about a lot, but it's one that deserves your attention because it is a solid ass movie on every level. Daria Nicolodi is in it as well. I believe she wrote it. I think she wrote most of his films. Yeah, Dario Argento. Oh no, just Dario. But I know she's written a whole bunch of his stuff. But she's in it. Anthony Franciosa is amazing in it. The man, the myth, the legend, rest in peace, John Saxon is in this. It is a solid ass time. Tenebrae, you need it. Grab it. I mean, unfortunately, I think it's only Region B, but maybe that'll change. Last on this 6-pack, Versus. This is a slip. This was released, 2022, I believe? No, I'm sorry, 2020. 2022. We're not there yet. Versus Ryuhei Kitamura, I believe is how he pronounces it. This is a movie I remember quite fondly. I watched this film. This is a poster for something else. I watched this film on a bootleg from a convention, and it blew me away, and it became an early favorite. And I didn't have the Blu-ray, but I had a couple of versions of DVD on it when it was finally originally released. I think Tokyo Shock, Welgo, something like that. And I had to get the Arrow Blu-ray. I know there might be a 4K coming, but this is the kind of movie, again, like Satan's Blade, where you don't really need a 4K because it's shot really rough looking. And even the Blu-ray isn't that cleaned up. It still looks really grainy. You get two versions of the movie, the original version and then the Ultimate Versus Edition. For the purposes of this review, I just revisited the original version. The movie's pretty long. It's 2 hours for the original, and then the Ultimate is about 10 minutes longer. This is a great zombies versus gangsters type movie. It takes place in the woods. It's hard to describe because there's a lot going on. There's a lot of in-depth material as well. On the surface, you think it's sort of a Reservoir Dogs kind of movie set in the woods. But as a first movie, Ryuhei has sort of combined all of the classics. Evil Dead, Reservoir Dogs, Brain Dead, a little bit of Bad Taste, Night of the Living Dead. All the kind of first movies that are memorable from other filmmakers. He's somehow mixed them all together in an amazing melange of effects and choreography and gunfights to make it a wholly unique experience. I will say this. Rewatching it, it does not hold up. I think the movie wears out its welcome. It's a little too long. So, I've seen this movie 5 times, but it's been a while since I've revisited it, the film. So, I don't know that it's very rewatchable. I think once you watch it once, maybe you introduce it to some friends, Then after that, you're like, I'm good. I'm good with Versus. I get it. It does kind of overstay its welcome a bit. And the action does get a little repetitive. Okay, gotcha. Zombies come. Everybody shoots them. There's more zombies come. Everybody shoots them. Oh, bad guys meet the hero. They have a karate fight. Then zombies show up and they shoot them. So it feels a little repetitive in that sense, but there's a lot of mythology here, which is something that you don't expect in this kind of movie, but there's sort of a deeper story going on here, which is very interesting. But it's worth a watch because of the mythology and because of the balls-to-the-wall filmmaking. This comes with a booklet. I don't know if that's still available or not. This is balls-to-the-wall Japanese filmmaking. Also, Tetsuo feels a lot like a Tetsuo, very early kind of a feel for that type of filmmaking, you know, that type of grassroots, independent, first film type of filmmaking that just, you want to go balls to the wall and impress the world. This is the kind of movie you get here, and it's worthy of your time and attention. If you've never seen it, you're going to have a hell of a good time with this movie. But just, you know, be aware, this might not affect everybody, but for me, I don't know that I'm going to be revisiting this anytime soon. I feel I got it. But again, I've watched it quite a bit. This is just my rewatch after years and years. But Versus does get a very high recommendation, 5 stars. And that's it for Arrow Video's movie 6-pack. Let's go over it one more time. Last Starfighter, highest recommendation, 5 stars. Satan's Blade, I didn't give this a rating. This is only region B. I did like it. I'm going to give it 3 stars though, but it's a solid slasher if you like slashers. Remo Williams, 5 stars. I love this movie very much. It might not work for everybody, to be honest. I mean, if you're culturally... Yeah, if you approach cultural insensitivity in the right way, I think you're going to like it. But if you're very sensitive to cultural things, you might be put off by the movie. But I think it's done, you know, harmlessly. And they're not making fun of anybody whatsoever. And the movie overall is really good. And Fred Ward is fantastic. 5 stars. Phenomena, I wish it was shorter, but I really love the third act. If the third act it didn't really pack that punch, then this would kind of be a really dull movie. But this is going to get 3 stars from me. I do recommend it if you haven't seen it, though. Tenebrae, 5 stars. Get it. Really good film. Hopefully there's a US version. If not, if you're region free, grab it. You're going to like that movie. Versus is available in the US. This is a region A version, just like my Last Starfighter. And it's a good movie. A solid movie. I'm going to give it 4 stars. It's ballsy as hell, but I think you're going to have a blast with it. And that'll do, my friend. Thank you so much for joining me for Movie 6-Pack. I am your friendly neighborhood Master of Chaos. I love you very much. Remember that. Take care of yourselves. Let me know in the comments what Arrow titles you suggest for the sale that is now ongoing. Camp Arrow Video 2 for 2021. Until we meet again, take care of yourself. I remain to be continued.